I mean, I can't get in. Yeah, you do it better than I do. I guess you need to take it down the track for the real challenge. Damn it! No, it's not as nimble as you.
No, now get out.
Oh yes, not as bad. I'm sticking with the NASCAR move. Alright guys, so took about a week off, spent some time with family and stuff. Then I started getting the car set up for E85. I had to run all new fuel lines, which is just really tedious and boring and annoying. It's not hard, it's just time consuming to make the hoses and stuff and measure it. And outside of that, I had to build a tune, and I don't really know much about running ethanol or E85 or flex fuel or whatever, so I've been doing a lot of research, read a lot, obviously watched a lot of videos, built myself an ethanol or E85 tune. You'll see later on the video whether or not it works. Aside from that, I'm going to be tearing apart this boost control setup that's on this car and wiring up and plumbing the Mac valve. That'll be in the next video, not this video, but that's why the car is still up on jack stands. Anyway, that's really what's been going on, so let's go ahead and get into the video. First thing I gotta do, I got about 10 gallons of gas in this thing. The plan is to never run gas again in this car, but who knows, I mean, someday may come along where I have to throw some gas in it. But really easy way to get the gas out of the car. I've seen where people have like bungs welded in the bottom of their tanks and they drain the whole tank, but with the Holley system, all I'm going to do is go into it. There's a section called fuel prime, and I'm going to turn the fuel prime on for 900 seconds, and then that pump will just continue running. Alright, so really simple. The return line was there. I just pulled it off and stuck it in this jug. Now we'll just USB link to the car. Yeah, fuel pump prime. So let's go 60 seconds to start. And now that pump is just going to run for 60 seconds. And so the reason why we're doing this is because I got everything that I need, well, minus the fuel rails, but they should be here Monday, I think. Got everything we need to throw the E85 system on. Fuel lines, a flex fuel sensor, some fittings and stuff that I needed, plus the wiring for the flex fuel sensor. Yeah, I mean, we got everything to make it happen. Alright guys, so I got all the fuel system entirely out, all the fuel lines and the fuel pump and stuff. I am actually going to, I had to get a different fuel pump. There's nothing really wrong with this one, but I needed, this is a -6, and I want a -8, and when I was looking for the fitting, I was having a hard time finding it. And so I came across a 380 liter per hour fuel pump sold by a different company, but it's pretty much the same style. It's probably the same exact thing, just with a different brand name. And so I'm going to install that one because it has a dash. Well, it'll basically be set up like this where the filters are connected. This will be a -8, and then I'll have a coupling that connects, well, it'll be this way. So it'll connect the -8 to, I got to switch that one to that one. So it'll be -8 to -8. And then -8 coming out all the way up to the front of the car. But yeah, basically, so we'll be -8. This, I have a reducer for this. So -8 coming out, going all the way up to the front of the car. And then it'll be a -6 coming back and hooking back up to the same return line as before. Alright, so in the meantime, we got the new fuel rails in. I absolutely hate this color, blue. But whatever, I'm going to use them anyway. Somebody asked, make sure, or mentioned, make sure they're the slanted versions, which they are. They're literally, these are set up exactly for Foxbody. or you know, the 50 HO. Have a little spot for the regulator, and so I get a lot of information from reading reviews and reading questions answered and comment sections and stuff. One of the comments said the kit comes with everything. You put it right on your Foxbody. Even have pictures. You just need to get some AN to, it said 1/2 inch NPT pipe thread, but they're not 1/2 inch pipe thread. They're 3/8 pipe thread, and I found that out by just looking at it. So the way I'm gonna run it, the way I was thinking about running it was, I was gonna do a Y. So basically have the fuel line come up, Y off, and then go into both fuel rails and then back out. But what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna run it the same way this one's run, or I'll run a -8 line going in. It'll run through. I'm gonna make a new jumper because I have enough hose, so it'll be a PTFE jumper. It'll jump to the other side of the manifold, or the other fuel rail, yeah, on the other side of the manifold, and then run out, and then it'll return at the bottom. So, you know, one of the comments said, yeah, it's got everything, you just need to get some 1/2 inch NPT fittings to fit, and they're not. These are 3/8 pipe thread, and this is 1/4 inch pipe thread. So, whatever, no big deal. It just, it'll slow me down a little. So, I mean, I'll just have to order a couple more. For now, I'm just gonna get all this stuff taken off. I'm gonna take the boost controller off and get it ready. I can actually probably put, yeah, I can put the fuel rails in. I'll just be waiting for those fittings to come in to actually hook up the fuel lines that I'm running. Well, the good news is the rails fit pretty good. There's a lot of room under both sides of the intake. Little bit less room over here, but it does fit. So the rails fit. The only issue I'm running into is the, so this is for the fuel pressure regulator and the adapter block that they give you. So the block, it's basically, it bolts on, and then you have like your little return side here, but the regular regulator doesn't bolt onto it. And of course now I spill fuel on the table. So it doesn't bolt onto it. It doesn't even fit onto it actually. I would have to shorten this, which, yeah, I'd have to shorten that. I'm just gonna basically pull this out, drill it out or whatever, and I'll put a plug in that, and what I'll do is I'll go fuel line in, jump it across the back, and then on the bottom on the other side I'll do a return and come back out to some sort of external regulator, and then run the return line off the regulator back. That's probably the only downfall of budget buying stuff, is typically you have to alter a lot of the stuff in some sort of way, but I mean at the same time it's usually pretty cheap to alter. I mean I just need to get, you know, a couple fittings, and then get some sort of, actually I think I got a fuel pressure regulator laid around here somewhere, so we'll put that to use. So not a huge deal, but I mean that's the risk you take with buying some stuff that's, you know, much cheaper than other stuff. But either way, these fuel rails are much bigger. They're gonna flow our E85 nicely. Much better than the stock stuff. I just ordered, you know, we're cheap here. Ordered a cheap fuel pressure regulator. Some people said it works, some people said it doesn't. We'll find out for ourselves. Just a temporary, you know, thing for right now. It's one of those, again, if it works, we'll just roll with it. And then what we did was, I made the change. This is another budget-friendly 380 liter per hour fuel pump. And mainly because I was doing some calculations, and the fuel pump that's in the car was a 340 liter. So now this is a 380. This will be able to bump the pressure up enough to where I should still be able to run these 60-pound injectors on the E85 to the horsepower level that I'm looking to do. I'm not looking to go crazy, but I could bump this fuel pressure up to 60 pounds, run these injectors, and we should be fine for E85. Okay, so this might look a little weird, but basically this is what we're going to have here. The fuel is going to come out of the fuel tank into this 100 micron filter, go through the pump, and then push out through a 10 micron. And pretty much based off of what I had slash couple little, what I tried to do is minimize what I actually had to order. So I ordered a couple of these little just couplings right here. It takes up a pretty good amount of space. So I might need to make some sort of bracket to where, I don't know, putting this up under the car, I mean this is a pretty wide little setup here. Alright, so here's pretty much what I'm looking at right here. This will be the inlet of the hose where that elbow is. I'm going to tuck the fuel pump and filters up behind the bumper. It actually might hang a little bit. But all I'm really going to do is just weld a piece of flat bar. Pretty much just going to make a simple bracket. I'll just weld this piece of flat bar up here, and then the bracket can bolt right to it. I'll cut it off so it, you know, probably barely hangs below this. You know, you shouldn't be able to see it, but just so that when I stick the bolt through it, the bracket will hold. But I mean, really, I think I'm just gonna weld it in right there, and it should be pretty solid. Well, here's the bracket. Nope, it's not pretty, but you know what? It's gonna get the job done, and that's really all I care about. Alright, so here's pretty much what we end up with. This is the bottom of the fuel tank. I don't really have zoom here, sorry about that. So the fuel hose is gonna come out of here, circle around to here, come out this one, and then it's gonna make its way towards the front of the car. And yeah, nice and hidden. You don't see this big giant thing with all the fuel filters up and out of the way, and it'll work perfectly fine for us. Alright, so I ended up changing it up and running the fuel line on the driver's or the passenger side, and it's because my harness, my wiring harness for the fuel pressure, or the flex fuel, the flex fuel sensor is only about 6 feet long, and I didn't want to extend it and put it on the other side of the car, so I just ran it. I had enough line, I ran it up out of the way. This is that harness that I got from Sloppy Mechanics. This thing is just well worth, I think it was like 70 bucks. Well worth it, even if you could probably make one cheaper. But here's my flex fuel sensor here. I'd basically just have some dash 8 lines going in, have it connected. It comes up through the floor, through one of the grommets that was already there. And then coming up inside the car, so the Holley Terminator X has a, power tap right here, and the other side of this harness is right here. You just plug right into the power tap, and that gives you, you know, the harness is already built to give you what you need. And then it also has this input pigtail right here. So now I just have input number 1 up into it. Our flex fuel sensor is all hooked up. I'm gonna just shove all this out of the way. Supply line plumbed entirely. Everything's still loose because I mean I'm just really mocking everything up, and I still gotta yank that out and put a plug in it. But so supply line comes underneath the intake, goes down through that hole in the firewall. Well, it's the fender really, and then it'll come down here. I'll put a clamp. I'll actually use this bolt right here, put another one of those clamps so this is nice and snug to the body, and then it runs underneath to our flex fuel sensor, and then I'm back to the tank. Is that good? Or should we do better?
That's good.
That's good? You sure? So we got the fuel rail situation figured out. This was where that fuel pressure regulator went. I just ripped that out, threaded this with 1/8 inch pipe, and now this little plug, I'll just put some thread sealant on it, put one in there, another one will go in there. Yeah, our fuel rails are pretty much good to go. Change of plans with that. I'm actually going to run my Holley fuel sensor right here in the fuel rail because it's 1/8 inch pipe thread. So I'll have fuel pressure running off this, and then that fuel pressure regulator, I'll just run a analog gauge off of it just to kind of have two. So that is quite possibly the ugliest weld I have ever put on anything. So I'm going to show you from back here. But it's held up there. So if you ever see it in person, you'll see how disgustingly ugly that weld is. Otherwise, just know that the fuel pressure regulator is there, mounted securely, and it will work. Alright, so next on the agenda, the fuel jumper hose. This is just a regular rubber hose. I'm not going to use it. I made a PTFE fuel hose. This way we don't dry rot that out and clog up our injectors. Got the fuel rails on. Just going to go ahead and throw this jumper on. And then I still need to make the hoses to go to the fuel pressure regulator. Once I do that, once I do that, I can run out and get some E85. I mean, I got to wire up the pump, but that'll take 2 seconds. And then prime this thing, and fingers crossed it all works. You probably can't see, but the whole system is ran. I got supply line coming from the tank into the regulator, out of the regulator into the fuel line, and then the return line is coming right off the regulator back to the back of the car, back in the tank. I had a big problem with this fuel rail right here barely fitting. And so yeah, when I say barely, I mean I had to do a little grinding and it barely fits there. So we got everything hooked back up. I got the tune that I'm using loaded into the computer. I'll show you how I do that in the next video. Like I said, I got a whole video dedicated to that. I have a feeling this is gonna fight us. I don't think it's gonna be easy. It's my first time ever using any sort of ethanol, E85, flex fuel, or whatever. So let's see if we can get it to fire off. Timing's off. Timing's a little low. Let's give that a shot. Have it. A couple small tweaks with the timing, was a little bit off, and outside of that, I mean, fuel was a little bit low. I punched about 3% more fuel in at idle just to get it to where it sounded like it was idling good. Plus I had to put like 4 more degrees of timing because it just really didn't want to idle. So my base timing at idle is like, it's like 21 degrees right now, which I was about 18 before. But I mean, the car runs good. It sounds spicy. That's gonna do it for the E85 install, the fuel system and everything. Just want to, you know, I haven't even secured the hoses to the car yet. I just wanted to run it, make sure everything worked, make sure there was no leaks. I had a small leak before I even started, but we're good. Yeah, I mean, so far, I mean, we're on the right track. So I'm gonna let the car cool off. Probably later today I'll come back out and start wiring up this boost solenoid. I don't think it'll take terribly long. And then I got all the hoses and stuff. Then we get this thing on the ground and start driving around, see how it likes the E85. This is just pump E85. We're seeing about E70. We're seeing about 75% ethanol content, which is pretty solid because the pump said anywhere from 53 to 83. So I'll take 75%, especially for where we live, and that's the only station. So anyway guys, that's gonna be it. Like I said, there'll be another video to show you exactly what I did in the software to get this car to run off E85 and what corrections to make, because it does need a lot more fuel in order to get it running. But as you see, I mean, it fired right up. So that's gonna be it for this one. As always, take care. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
The mama's here. The mailman's here.
Mailman's here. He must have my parts.
Come on, let's go check. Whole bunch of water. Look at Daddy, jump! Nope.
There's no car parts in there.
Maybe. Oh! He took it! You come back here! He took it.
Now what are we gonna do?
The mailman will come back and get some parts.
Okay, well let's go.